Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? So I am super excited for this video because I'm going to be talking about 5 different huge mistakes that indie brands make that stop people from wanting to buy their products, including myself. This is all just going to be based on my own personal experience, but this video is extra special because it's a collaboration with my dear friend Angelica Nikist. I'm so bad at saying her last name, but I promise I'm not a fake friend. So the other day we were messaging in the group chat and I mentioned that I was planning on filming this video. She said she had actually planned to do it too. So I was like, well, why don't we just go ahead and collaborate? So we're both going to be giving our list of 5. I'm not sure what's on her list. I don't know how repetitive we're going to be and what angles we're going to go at. We kind of just did it on our own and we're coming together for this. So I will have her video and her channel linked down below. If you're not already subscribed to her, I can 100% guarantee that you are missing out. So definitely watch her video, and if you are coming over from Angelica's channel, thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you here. Let's go ahead and jump right on in. All right, y'all. So number 1 biggest mistake from an indie brand, and this was actually what started the conversation and the idea to do this video for me, it was the fact that a lot of indie brands only swatch products on their own skin tone, and I believe that's probably not malicious at all. It's just the fact that they are one person, a one-woman team majority of the time running the show, so they show their swatches on their own skin tone in order to sell it. That's what they put on their website, that's what they put on their Etsy, whatever it may be, and unfortunately it's so limited because you only get to see it on one skin tone. I feel like this definitely impacts people of color so much more. For me, I can kind of like guess like, oh yeah, it's pigmented, I can see the way it looks in the pan, I'm like, yeah, that's how it'll look on my eyes, whatever. But I feel like swatches are so important on a deep skin tone, especially when it comes to like all the pastels releases that have been coming out lately. And unfortunately, so many indie brands are releasing products, but they're only showing the swatches on one skin tone, and I feel like that's completely isolating, stopping people from buying their products. I think that it's unfair for someone to have to wait weeks before they see someone else who looks like them buy their product and review it in order to see what the swatches would look like on their own skin tone. I feel like this should be such an easy, simple solution, like hire somebody, find a friend, even if you pay a friend like $50 for an hour of their time swatching their arm, like that $50 is gonna go so far. Or even if you hire an influencer and you say, hey, I'm gonna send this to you in the mail 2 days, can you swatch this before I launch the product? And obviously pay the influencer because you shouldn't expect free work. But again, whatever that person decides to charge is gonna go so much further than just completely forgetting about it. I feel like that should be such an important part of a brand's budget because it's really just holding them back by not showing it on every single skin tone. It actually didn't list these in orders, but that was the first mistake that I thought of. So moving on from that, this is a little bit piggybacking on the first one, but the second one would be photoshopping swatches or not having swatches at all. This is even worse. It's a lot of times it's so obvious and it's just, I don't understand, like you don't have any budget for this. And I've seen so many brands do this. I've seen P. Louise do it, recently Adept Cosmetics. I've seen ColourPop actually back in the day. I know they're not an indie brand, but they used to fill in arms and make them look more pigmented than they were. I was just absolutely appalled by that. I'm like, if you recognize there's a problem, if you recognize you have to Photoshop swatches, like please just do some actual swatches. And I don't mean Photoshop in like perfecting, making the lines crisp. I mean like literally copy and paste from one skin tone to the next skin tone. It's like, that literally like defeats the point of everything. So I'm not a fan of that. And then like I said, beyond that, not having swatches at all. I can't tell you how many times I've gone on an indie brand's website and I'm like, ooh, looking around. I'm like, maybe I want this. I click on a product and there's no swatch. It's just the container or just the eyeshadow or whatever. And I'm like, how, like, what? How am I supposed to know what's gonna, like, I feel like you're losing people there because then you have to go from the website and manually search and find somebody somewhere who has done a swatch or talked about that product. So I feel like, again, just put in your budget, please. I can't tell you how many times it's happened to me and I always end up not making the purchase. And, you know, I'm sure there's plenty of other people who have the same exact experience and it's like you're losing out on free advertising. Also just the consumers who want to buy from you, but they don't know you, they don't trust you, so you have to give them incentive and show them. You can't just tell them, you have to show them. Okay, so the next one that I have here is a huge one, and I feel like this gets so many brands in so much trouble, and this would be being overly emotional or overly defensive. This stems from the fact that, again, a lot of indie brands are a one-person show, and so they're handling everything, and majority of the time their business is their baby, their products, what they do. They take so much pride in it. So I think that it's hard. It's like, it's not a normal emotion, but you have to separate yourself from your products and understand that you are a business. I think you have to be really careful because people look for things to be upset about. I feel like people thrive on drama. They want to cancel brands. Sad for it to happen to a small brand, but even just like overly sharing, you can be relatable, but when it hits that point where it sounds kind of like, woe was me, pity, I feel like that turns a lot of people off. And then again, on the other hand, if you can't take constructive criticism, if you can't give good customer care, again, it really, really turns people off, because customer care and being kind to people, being respectful to people is so, so huge. And just from my own personal experience, when an indie brand goes above and beyond for so many different things, for example, LAKEY, one of the first indie brands I ever tried, I remembered I had a shade come broken and then they accidentally sent the wrong shade, and they were like, oh, we're going to send you that out right away and you can keep the extra shade, we'll send you the right one. And they made it right within a few hours, and it was like, dang, that was really good customer service. It leaves an impression on you. It makes loyal customers. I bought so many things from LAKEY after that. Whereas other brands, it's like, if you don't get the communication or you don't get the help you need, then of course I'm not going to purchase from them again. Really staying true to that customer service aspect of your brand is so important, and it's not for everybody. Not everybody is meant to be that person. So this is hard because it's like, if you don't have it in your budget to hire a PR team or to hire someone else who's not as emotionally connected, like, that's super important, because you could be turning away customers by not having that experience and by not having the right kind of personality to take care of customers and help them. I feel like anytime you put yourself on social media and you're told like not to take things personally, it does kind of sting, because I feel like that's just human nature, especially for me being a sensitive person. But you have to like learn to separate your brand and you. So the fourth mistake that I have here is not having a diverse PR list or collaborations if you are big enough to be doing that. I feel like a lot of indie brands, maybe, again, it's not intentional, but I think that you should really take the time to search out and find people of all different types, whether it be finding people with different skin tones, skin types, even ages. Like, don't have your entire PR list a bunch of 20-somethings. Like, the people who are older and wearing makeup are just as valid, and they're probably spending a lot more money on your products. I feel like this is another one of those cases where if a consumer is looking to buy something and they can't find what it'll look like or perform like on someone who looks like them, then it again turns them away. I can't tell you how many times I get comments that are like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I found your video because I had no idea what this was going to look like on fair skin. I just feel like it's so important. And then kind of piggybacking off of that, I'm still considering this part of mistake number 4 would be not having a PR list at all and having no one that you're sending things to. And I'm not saying this out of bias because I get PR, or I'm like, hey, you should send more PR to me or anything, because that's not what I'm saying at all. Saying this from a consumer standpoint, there's been plenty of brands I wanted to try. I tried to find their new releases and I couldn't. So if you can't find anybody at all, it's kind of just like, nah, feels like they don't care as much about it. And maybe they are sending PR to like these giant influencers, but maybe they're not even reviewing them or giving them the time of day. So they should probably be smart about who they're sending their PR to. But I just think, again, you're looking for something, you can't find it, so you move on and they lose consumers. All right, so the last mistake, this one's a little bit more simple, not quite as intense, and I have been turned off from buying brands because of it. So it would be that either their website is hard to use or they don't have an about or FAQ page. So just starting off from the beginning, if it's just hard to add things into your cart, to scroll, to go back, if you have to like click a million things just to check out, I feel like you lose me so fast. Like, I'm just not about that. And there are some brands where it's just like, they're doing well. I know they're doing amazing. Like Give Me Glow. I think that they actually announced on their website that they are revamping it, but it's hard to use and it makes me less likely to shop there. That's a bigger brand than I can think of, but there's plenty where like the coloring is weird, or it's just hard to find the products you're looking for, or the new releases don't show up and you have to like manually search for them. All kinds of things. I think having a really great website is important, and part of having a really great website is having information on there. So for me personally, I'm sure not everyone does this, but I always go and check the about page, the FAQ page. I love reading about the brand. I love getting to hear about their backstory, or just what they're trying to do, what their mission is, because you don't know them, you don't know the brand, you're not familiar with them. And I recently heard about this thing, and it's called you know, you like, and then you trust. And I feel like that's so true. I think it's like a thing for selling things, but you know someone, you start to like them, and then you trust them. And when you're first getting to know an indie brand, it's like you have to know them, you have to find out about them, you have to hear a little bit more. It's not like, I don't want to just go off a random name and be like, yep, let me give them my money. I mean, of course, use PayPal, always protect yourself, but I think that information is really important because then you can buy the products, you can like them, and then when you like them, you become loyal and you trust them, you want to keep buying from them. So by cutting off at the no portion, you're stopping consumers who could potentially become super, super loyal customers from buying from you for the first time, and then they go and buy from somebody else because there's plenty of other places on the market to buy from. This is just my personal experience. I've never run an indie brand, but I have bought from a crazy number of indie brands, but I've also searched out a lot of indie brands and not ended up making a purchase, or I purchased from them and then had an experience where I stopped wanting to purchase from them. I would love to know what you think the biggest mistake is that indie brands make, and I can't wait to go watch Angelica's video. I have a feeling she has some thoughts on international shipping if I had to guess, so I hope you check her out as well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!